Hey, everybody. My name is Tess Brigham. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and I'm a board certified coach. And I specialize in helping millennials, Gen Zers try to find their path and, live a life that they really dream about. And I'm here with Angel Trinidad, who is the CEO of Passion Planner. And that's exactly what she does. She also, with her planners, helps people find their path. And I have to say, because it arrived yesterday, I got my planner. I'm super excited. And so I'm so excited to talk to you about the planner, and I got one for my son. So hello, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for moderating.
Absolutely. And so I was super excited to get my planner and I started looking through it, and it is so interesting. And there's so much overlap between what this planner is and a lot of the things that I talk about with my clients. But I want to go back a little bit and hear a bit about your history, because you launched this, with this idea of helping young professionals follow their dreams, launch their careers, after graduation. So tell me a little bit about your own post-grad story.
Yeah, so my post-grad story is actually riddled with post-grad depression. So I graduated from UCLA in 2012. I started out as a pre-med major, and 2 years into it, decided to change my major to art without telling my Asian parents, which of course was the best, which didn't really go over too well. But I think for me, that was one of the first times that I decided that I wanted to, like you said, choose my own path, and a path that was going to make me happy. And I was always an overachiever. I went to UCLA. And changing my major to art to me was just something that I knew I really loved to make art. Art for me was a safe space. And after graduating, I had already read 150 self-help books by that time and autobiographies of entrepreneurs. And I was helping my aunt with her flower shop from the age of 16 until I graduated at the age of 21. So I had a lot of different entrepreneurial experience, or just different models of life, other than the 9 to 5, through reading and through being around my aunts, and also being around artists. So for me, I just really wanted to experiments, and I wanted to start a business. And it actually happened after I graduated. I extended for one more quarter so I could study abroad, and I got a scholarship to study abroad. And I studied abroad in Thailand, and then I got an internship in Singapore, and that internship was actually extremely terrible for me. And I think because I ended up sleeping on the floor of my boss's condo for a month, and that was terrible. And I was just like, oh man, I don't want to work for anyone. This is not what I want. I don't want my life to be in someone else's hands. So I decided when I came back that I'd start a business, and it was the macaron studio. I shot photography, and I baked French macarons, those cookies that look like hamburgers.
Yeah.
And my plan was that I was going to streamline it, do it during wedding season, and then take the rest of the year off and just travel and write through Asia, because doing that internship abroad and also living in Thailand for 3 months, I was like, wow, your money really can go far. So that was the plan. But then after a week, I realized that I hated baking, which was kind of terrible. So the universe was checking me in all these ways. They were like, not that way, not that way. And I think every time it made me a little bit more and more sad and a little disheartened, that I decided to keep baking for, I think, 6 more months. And every day that you spend doing something you don't like, I think it's actually worse than doing nothing, because I felt like myself spiraling deeper and deeper into depression. And I think depression for me has been a blessing in disguise, because it tells me, hey, go on another path. There's another way that this isn't for you. So I'm kind of a fan of quitting, which is really interesting, because a lot of people say don't never quit. And for me, I'm like, well, I think if quitting means changing direction so that you're on a more authentic path to you, I think you should take it. So after I went on a family vacation for a week and I didn't have to bake for a week, I was like, life is so much better not baking. So came back, told my cousins that were in the business too that I was going to quit. And I thought that they were going to be really upset, but they were like, okay, because they had other full-time gigs. And it was October. And I was like, okay, I really want to make something that is going to help people. And I thought about what really I needed during that time of my life of uncertainty. And it was the planner. And I think that like, it was a really hard post-grad transition, going back to your question, into the real world. I felt like there was no structure. I think that you go through your whole educational journey through elementary school, through middle school, through high school, through college. And there's just so much structure. There's so many rules. There's so many clear metrics that you have to meet. And then life goes, okay, none of that really matters. And the only metric that we're going to judge everyone on is how much money they have. And it's just like, oh, that's really weird. Like, I think that by using the planner, you create your own metrics of success and you create your own vision of success. And I think that a lot of people don't do that. Like currently my vision of success is how I feel. So I have like key emotions that I try to feel every day, which one of them is play. So I literally schedule time to play. And another emotion like peace. Like, so I schedule time to rest. And another emotion is like connection. So I schedule time to spend time with people that I love. And these are like my goals, and my goals being these things that are feelings that are, that I could do every day. I feel like you get to enjoy the journey with every step, as opposed to when you only get to a pinnacle. So, I mean, yeah, my journey has been a really interesting. I mean, it all happened when I was 22 to 21 to 22. Like that whole
that was quite a year. But I think you're bringing up so many good points, which is, and this is an issue that my clients talk about a lot, which is, there is so much structure. There's so much structure in school, and it's very clear. It's very laid out. And there's also this instant feedback, like, how am I doing in the class? How, what's the grade going to be? And yeah, you get out and it's just this long, vast, world and thing that you're, that's right in front of you. And so tell me a little bit about like when did you come up with the idea of like, aha, a planner? I want to do this planner.
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved planners for as long as I got my first one for free in high school. Because I have ADHD. So I'm always like, oh, there's so many things that have to be done. And when you have a planner, it's a safe space to create. So that's one of the themes that are in my life. It's like giving people a safe space to create and a safe space to check in with themselves. And I think that's what a planner is. And that's why I think it's so important to have something physical and something that is private, because we're all like socially, like there's so much interaction happening and so much distraction happening. So for me, a planner writing has always been super important to me growing up. And when every year I would buy maybe like 6 or 7 planners and then choose the best one that I liked, and then I gift all the rest of them to my friends as their New Year's presents. And I was like, I need to just design one myself. So I took out a piece of paper and I mind mapped everything that I really wanted in a planner. And I was like, okay, I think I can make this. So I made it in Photoshop and I made it in Word. And I found a manufacturer online by Googling notebook manufacturer, literally.
Wow.
I just made it happen. I think that for me, like designing a planner that worked with my mind and created compartments for the different things that were swirling in my head all the time. It was like just a way for me to anchor into the day and feel progress. Because when you write in your planner, you have to write and then you turn the page and it's a brand new week. But even if your day went bad or if it went good, it can't delete like the experience that you gained. So I think that having this method of progress, of visual, tactile progress, at least for me, is really important for my mental health. And I felt like if it was important to me, then I think it would be important for other people, especially when you're planning in relation to your goals, which I think is why you should plan. But yeah.
Well, no, I love in the Passion Planner some of the things that you do in here. I got the undated one because I wanted to have the freedom. And what's so interesting is you have this section on monthly reflection, which I think is so important and something that people don't realize, which is that it's really important. Reflection is huge. It's a big part of any kind of process. And teachers will tell you that it's really when students go back and reflect, it's when, things are really solidifying in your brain of like what really happened. And so how did you, it's so interesting because it's like, how did you connect this idea? I mean, was it always called Passion Planner? And how can someone, if you think about it, like how can someone use this planner to, find their passion or to find their dreams?
Yeah. So for the reason why it was funny is one of the names. So I'm going to talk about the names because I very rarely talk about the name, which is, I was going to call it Analog Hub because it's like, I love analog. But then when you did analoghub.com, people, if you type in, you can read other words in it. And I was like, okay, we can't do that. So I didn't do that. I literally had just a phone in a note in my iPhone, and I made different names. And it's always been called Passion Planner. I was kind of hesitant because I was like, PP is so I was thinking about all these things, but one thing that I tell myself all the time is it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to start. And a lot of times when people do things, they want it to be perfect. And I think even when goal setting, a lot of people don't even commit to like creating goals because they need their goals to be like what they want for the rest of their lives. And I reassess my goal setting every 6 months at least. If I don't feel inspired or if I feel a little like stagnant in my life, I do the passion roadmap again, which is an exercise in the beginning of the planner that gets people to define their long and short-term goals in 5 minutes. There's a saying that says one of the best gifts to creativity is a deadline. And it's like, if you give people, you have forever until you get to define your goals, then people are going to wait for perfection. And we give people 5 minutes, just brain vomit everything that you have, all the goals, all the dreams, logical, illogical, whatever. And then the next step is to prioritize, which is to pick the goal that's going to have the most positive impact in your life, which I think completely counteracts this concept of like, I have to do everything, and this analysis paralysis that I feel like a lot of millennials have, because we have the blessing of options. And then we're like, well, which one do I do? And I'm like, which one are you most excited about? Which one do you feel most excited to? And then it's creating a plan and creating a step-by-step plan in these small actionable steps that you can delegate. That's the key for me, at least. If I could delegate the task, and the task is clear enough that when I do get to it, then it's an easy step. It's not like, okay, now I have to first get the energy to make the decision, then I'm going to do something, then I need a plan, figure out the decision, and then I have to do it. It's like, if you take some time to really clearly define each step, it's like momentum is so much easier because you're not going to brainstorm the negotiation process. You're just going through the action process. So the 3 processes that I use is a big brainstorm. And this is for business, in life, in anything. Even when I like plan my birthday, it's like, okay, big brainstorm of all the things that make me excited. And there's no breaks, all gas. And I always joke that my brain is like because I have ADHD, which I think is a superpower for me. It's all gas. It's like a Ferrari with no brakes, with civic brakes. Like, so for me, I'm really good at moving forward. So I section off my time, brainstorm, and then we move into prioritizing. And that's when we can negotiate. But there's no negotiating, no logical anything. We're just kind of going at it. And then you go into the next step, which is prioritizing. And then the next step is action. And then going back to reflect and make a new brainstorm, and so on and so forth. And making sure that these are 3 different modes of thinking. And especially when I work with a team or work with a group, it's like making sure that the group understands we're in brainstorm phase, because a lot of people's doubts will start to trickle in. You'll end up doing nothing, including your own doubts.
Yes.
So,
well, you call it negotiating when you stop negotiating. And I always say it's getting like letting go of the how. Right? Because people get very caught up in, well, my dream is to, write a book. And then like, well, but I don't, I'm not very good, or how will I write this? This will be really long. And, this is a dream. And then we suddenly squash it like that because we get into the how. And I love this idea of just however crazy it is, don't negotiate with yourself about what it is that you really, really want. And and so so you started off, it was just you. And now, because if you go to your website, there's a huge group of you, so how did you go from just this one woman business to how many people do you have on your staff now?
42.
It looks like 30 or 40 people. How many?
42.
42.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, what it was like to build this team. And you got started crowdfunding through Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. So what was the connection there? You had this idea, I want to do this passion planner, and then you got the Kickstarter going?
Yeah. So in October, it was when I quit the Macaron studio and decided, okay, I'm going to do this planner company. I came up with the idea, did a brainstorm, mapped it out, and asked my friend, hey, can you shoot this Kickstarter video for me? And he said, yes. We shot it from midnight to 3 a.m. It was only a 3-minute video. It took me 3 hours to just I was so camera shy. I got to the point where I had to lay down and read the voiceover because I couldn't speak into it anymore. And then the next day, submitted to Kickstarter, uploaded it, and within a couple of days, they approved it. I launched it, and my first Kickstarter backer came in at 10 minutes, and it was a random stranger in Texas.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, okay. And I was messaging all my friends, asking them if they could share it, and if they needed a planner, if they could back it. And so from the thought of, okay, I'm going to make a planner to planners being out in the hands of people, it was 3 months. And it felt like finals every week. And I think once you start putting that momentum, it was just momentum that carried me. And that was just me in my parents' garage. And then I asked my 2 friends, one of them was unemployed, and I asked him, hey, can you help ship? And then I asked the other friend, hey, can you help with emails? And then the 1-person operation became 3 people in the garage. And then we were selling maybe like 4 planners a day. And then I launched the next Kickstarter the year after, and launched a smaller size of the planner, and did another Kickstarter. And in 30 days, raised $650,000 on Kickstarter, which was just like, what? Because when I was 23, I had $60 in my bank account. By 24, I had run that Kickstarter, and we did $650,000 on the Kickstarter and $1.2 million on the website. So we did almost $2 million over the course of a month, which was like, wow. I thought these were just fluke numbers. Squarespace was going to call me and be like, whoops, we messed up your numbers on the back end. And when we went viral, I was actually on my way out camping, and my assistant was flailing to figure out, like, oh my gosh, we have 23,000 emails. Google just shut down our email because they thought we were like phishing people, because we had an autoresponder with a free PDF for people to download and print. So they shut down that email. People were upset because they never got our email. And then I walked her through on the back end. Hey, okay, so you're going to update the website to change the email. Just make thepassionplanner@gmail.com instead of passionplanner@gmail.com. And we just made it work. And I came back from that camping trip, and my whole life had changed. We went from $100,000 to $400,000 in 3 more days, and then we ended it at 650. And and then it was like, okay, now you got to scale very publicly. I didn't spend it. I thought I was going to do $80,000 maybe, like on a really, that would have been amazing. And
You mentioned at the beginning of the conversation that you've been around entrepreneurs, right? Your aunts, your entire life. Who inspires you? And when you're building this business, like who inspires you, and who do you go to for help?
Yeah, so for me, my aunt was a huge inspiration. I mean, she came from the Philippines with nothing, started she was working at the Navy Exchange, and her boss was like going away. So they're throwing a going away party, and she's a terrible cook. And she decided, oh, I'm going to make him a silk flower arrangement, because during the time, silk flowers, like fake flowers, were a big deal. So she made one, and then her friend asked, one of her coworkers asked her, and then she was just, from that, she just started. She rented a space that was vacant next to the bar that she met my uncle, and she negotiated like, hey, I need like 2 months for free. And then she would drive to LA, get this materials while my uncle would drive the van, and she put it together. And she was just scrappy. She was just someone that was like, why not? Like, why not make it happen? And while I was working for her, she won best wedding florist 4 years in a row in San Diego. And we were doing 7 to 14 weddings a weekend. And that was just something that, like, I was around this kind of high stakes environment. I don't know if you know how bridezillas are, but there are definitely bridezillas.
I've gotten married.
So it's really tough. And it taught me how to manage people. It taught me how to like build a life that I liked. And I also knew that people were willing to trade money for a skill. And for me, that was really great. And I was listening to a lot of self-help and a lot of autobiographies. So I think I pull inspiration from so many places. I really pull a lot of inspiration from people who are like living their lives unapologetically, and they're living their lives according to their terms. And me being queer, also a first generation Filipina millennial entrepreneur that became a millionaire at 23, like there's not very many people that I know that are like me. But I think that that's great. I think that there needs to be a lot more models presented of what success looks like, because I think that the story that is perpetuated is, you know, not the regular American dream, but you know, that you do all these things in these steps in this way, and a lot of times that doesn't really move us forward into a happier life. I think that for me, I constantly check in with myself and, like you said, reflect on what is it that's going to make me happy, and let me try it, and then reflect on that and see if it did make me happy, or if I want to change it. Or, you know, I nap every single day for an hour at least, every single day. I know that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel energized, that makes me feel like I have 2 days, because I work the best right when I wake up. So I design my life around how my brain works, how my feelings are. And I think that it's a very unique path. And I think that we need more models of unique paths of living, because one model is not going to suit everyone. And I think that, yeah.
I love what you're saying about, you know, I take a nap every day, because, you know, in our culture, we have this real like hashtag hustle culture of you should be sleeping on the floor, you should be working nonstop. And what I see is a lot of burnout, especially for young people, tremendous amount of burnout, because the world that we live in today, with technology, the world does not stop. So you yourself have to figure out how to stop. You have to figure out how to manage, you know, your time and your energy. And I love that you're saying, like, I can run this business and also I can take a nap, and there's nothing, it's not that I'm lazy. It's not that I don't work hard. It's just that I know what I need. And I know that is, you know, what's the point of building your own business and doing all of this if you don't have the freedom and to really do the things that you want to do? I want to talk a little bit about the Get One, Give One program. And can you share a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so the Get One, Give One program is for every planner we sell, we give one away. So we started that in our 3rd year, and we've given more than 500,000 planners to nonprofits and schools all around the world, mostly in the US. And for me, I think Passion Planner is a tool that can really change someone's life. I think when you can give someone the gift of clarity and vision for their life, like that's probably one of the best gifts ever. And I think one of the things that really shifted my life was when one of my neighbors, when I was a kid, gifted me an eraser. And it wasn't even about an eraser. It was about that he believed in me to be an artist, and he believed in me he just believed in me. And this gift was not like, oh, pay me back or anything. It was just this generous thing where there was no strings attached. And I think for me, that really changed the whole trajectory of my life. And if 100 people out of those 500,000 people that got the planner, if that is what happened, then I'd be really happy with it. And I just love giving things that I think are going to make big impact. And it's a big reason why the whole PDF is free. It's always been free. You can download it on the website and print it yourself. You can give it to your students. I really love making tools that help people gain more clarity of what they want in their life, because only you can do that. No one else can do that work for you. No one else can define your goals the same way that no one else can define what you want to eat today. I think that it's really important for people to take the time to just slow down and really think about, why am I hustling? You know, you talked about hustle culture. I think hustle culture, I've lived through that. When I started Passion Planner, I was working like 16-hour days, not because I wanted to do that, but because I felt like I had to, and I had to deliver. And I remember saying, once my head is above water, I'm not going to do that to myself anymore. Like, I'm not going to work this long. And I mean, it was so, like, there were so many representations to me in my life of like people like my best friend, the one that actually started the one that helped me during the Macron studio and was the person that was shipping the planners when it was only 3 of us. He actually passed away when he was 27 from a stroke. And I'm pretty sure it's from stress. And for me, I was like, I feel like the universe is telling me, like, this is not sustainable. And like within 3 months of that, I decided to take a year off of Passion Planner completely. And I took a year off. I took a whole year-long sabbatical. And for me, I think that you can create a life that is based, because no one's going to create your life around your needs. Only you can do that. Only you can speak up for what you need. And I think that only you can create those internalized boundaries too. Because a lot of times we don't have the self-respect because we have too much shame or guilt. And I think for me, I've learned to unapologetically be able to say no, which is something that I learned really early on in my entrepreneurial career, because when we went viral, there were so many people asking for my time and attention. And I think I had to go to the extreme of being like, I'm not even going to check my social media. I'm not even going to check my email, for me to understand, like, okay, there is a healthy balance between like giving your time, but also taking the time to take care of yourself. Because I think it all starts with you. And the more I can take care of myself, the more I can serve my team, the more my team can serve their community, and so on and so forth. And I think that if everyone just took care of themselves a little bit better, the world would be way better off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so here we are in the time of COVID, and, do you have any advice for young people who are just graduating from college, from high school, that are entering in this very strange time? Do you have any advice for them what would you say to someone who's just graduating?
Yeah, I would just tell them, like, take it easy on yourself. I think that you should celebrate that you graduated. Like, that is a big accomplishment. I think that we think that that's the bare minimum of living. And I think that we are so hard on ourselves and rushing ourselves into the next thing. Like, I've had to tell myself to pump my brakes and be like, wait, no, let's celebrate. Let's take some time to celebrate, because what's the point of rushing into the next thing? Like, it's kind of like going on a hike, and every time you reach the pinnacle, you just want to go back down onto the next one. And I think that being gentle with yourself, understanding that finding your ideal career is like figuring out a puzzle. It takes time, and it takes trial and error. And one of my friends, she is in the world of like tech, and she understands like how tech is going to affect the workforce. And she just posted on her story today that people that are graduating today are looking at maybe 17 different jobs within 5 different industries. And it's just like the model of you graduate and you're in a job forever is going to be like kind of washed away because of technology. And I think that understanding where you bring value is where you're really passionate, I think and where you're willing to like push yourself to the next level. And it's just something that you do because that's you. I think that that's going to give you the edge, because for me, like, for example, like, I love to read, like, because of that. no one has to convince me to read. It's become a part of my everyday. So I think it's really important to play to your strengths, be gentle with yourself, and celebrate with the people around you. When it's all said and done, I think that what matters is the people around you and the love you surround yourself with.
Yeah, absolutely. I love those words. So we're going to move on to Q&A, and I've gotten old, so I have to put these on. So, and I hope I pronounced this name correctly. Is it Stasha? Stasha asks, where can you purchase the planner?
So you can purchase the planner at passionplanner.com, and you can also purchase it on Amazon, but better if you buy it off of Passion Planner. But if you have time, and if you just want to try the planner, you can also go to our website. There are free downloadables you could print out. There are also like finance trackers, health trackers, and you can just use them.
Yeah. So Laura's asking, do your employees set their own schedule as well? I'm assuming everybody's remote right now. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so everyone's remote. Not everyone sets their own schedule. We have some people that are working in fulfillment that stick to a particular schedule. We also have people that are on salary and also some people that are hourly. So people that are on salary have more flexibility with their schedules. It's one thing that we do at Passion Planner that's unique is called a Passion Week. So once you finish your first year at Passion Planner, you get a week off, and you also get paid for that week and you get a stipend of up to $3,000 to explore your passion. And all we ask you is to take some pictures and share with us your story and what you did. And I think for me, like when I gained financial freedom, I got to explore my passions, all the time. And I wanted to share that with my team. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next question, it says, thank you, Tess, for moderating. This is Karina. Thank you, Karina. I appreciate it. It's so much of what you've talked about today is, so important. And I think that, even at the beginning of your story, when you're talking about sleeping on your boss's floor and what that was like. And I think we think that our stories always have to be very linear. This is what you're saying, right? And once upon a time, the typical sort of dream was to have, you graduate from college, you get this job, you stay there for 30, 40 years, you get the pension, it was this very simple path. And I think that so much of what you're talking about that our paths of how we get to where we want to go, it's like this. And that you have to have these moments in time, like sleeping on your manager's floor or your boss's floor. You have to have these moments of pain to really help you get the clarity that you need to figure out, what don't I want to do? And what isn't, what are the things that I want to avoid? So how do you, because you did mention earlier about having ADD. So, being home and being remote, how do you keep yourself focused?
So for me, I'm a really big fan of time blocking. So I try to time block my whole day the day before. So now, again, I'm not in negotiation phase. I'm just in action phase. Okay, I did this thing. And I also understand that I have to schedule, if I'm going to be creative, I need to schedule large blocks of time to be creative, to just be able to just do whatever I want. And I've adjusted in my schedule that on Wednesdays, I have like a free creative day that I do whatever I want creatively. And that's kind of something that I've worked into my schedule. My day is pretty streamlined. I have the same meetings, and I batch things. So for example, my COO, we meet on a bi-weekly basis. So every Monday and every Thursday we meet. So that's when she asks me all the questions. And if most things aren't urgent, we treat everything like it's urgent, and most things aren't. And it's batching. It's understanding what kind of brain space I'm going to be in that space, and also just focusing on the 1% that's going to make 99% of the difference. A lot of the times we try to do so many things as opposed to the one thing that's going to move the needle forward. And I'm really, we have that saying, focus on the 1% that's going to make 99% of the difference. And if you hold yourself to that and make that your focus of the day, at least for me, my life always moves forward in a really exponential way.
Yeah. So Kim asks, do you have a lot of millennials using the Passion Planner? I have 2 college children who use their phones to track their activities. Is there any thought in creating an app version?
So we do have a lot of millennials using the planner. We sold our millionth planner in 2019. In terms of demographics, I would say a lot of our demographic is students, but a lot of them are also like mom age. Mom age. I don't know if that's really an age, but you know, like busy mothers that are also trying to find their own identity, the identity of their children. And like what I love about Passion Planner is like there's a personal and a work to-do list. So you can have like, you know, you can split it up and you can see visually like where you're putting your focus. So yes, we do have a lot of millennials using the planner. I know that there's a huge planner culture of physical planners. There's also a new digital like culture of digital planners, like planning on an iPad, but it's still writing. So I think that that's still really good. What I don't really love too much about like something being too functional, especially for at least my brain space, is like I don't want it to feel like it's limitless. Because I feel like when you have a limitless task list on your phone, it becomes overwhelming. There's a point where you're like, I'm not even gonna get it anymore. And that's what I love about having like a section space. So in terms of the app version, it might be something that we're working on. But yeah.
When I encourage a lot of my clients to journal, and I always say to them, don't sit down and type. You type all day, you know, sit down with a notebook and write, because when you write, you use a different part of your brain and a part of our brains that don't get activated. And so the writing part, I think, is really, really important. So Sue asks, how do you become a nonprofit that could receive your Give One, Get One program?
Yeah, so every quarter we we post online, and we also post our newsletter that you can apply. And we just have people apply, and then we select from them because we don't have like limitless amounts of planners, and it's pretty straightforward and simple. So yeah.
Dan asks, what do you say to people who have a hard time sticking to a schedule but want to get better?
I think start small and don't try to I think any habit making is a small and steady progress and process. So what is it that you want specifically? Do you want to do a morning routine? Do you want to do a schedule that encompasses your whole week? Like I would start with something like a morning routine, and also think about when you feel the most able to do the type of work. So in the morning, I like to work by myself. So I have a lot of time scheduled for myself. And then later into the day, I start working with people. Like I start having my meetings, and then I have lunch because I usually get tired, and then I take a nap. And then after my nap at 3, then I have another meeting that's like high level. And then at 4 is usually the meeting of like networking, which is not super high level. So I know how to, I know how my brain works. So creating a routine or a schedule around how your brain works is really important. At least that's something that I found. And if you want to get better, honestly, keep track of it. One thing that I like to do is I like to map out my whole week at the beginning of the week in my planner, and then I just have to execute it. Like I have lunch at this time. I set alarms on my phone. I also use Google Calendar if I have a lot of appointments that I have to send invites to. So I have a whole system, and you just kind of have to see what works for you, what causes less stress and not more stress. I think that's a good metric.
Because you have to embrace, I mean, this is the thing about to-do lists they will never end. Like your to-do list will never ever end. So some of it is, it's always going to go on. So some of it is really what you're saying, which is, and I love that you only have a certain amount of room for it. It's like, what do you have to do today? Like not what do you have to do for the rest of your life? What do you have to do today? So this is a question from Small Biz Philly. How can I convince friends and family to contribute to my Kickstarter when they are so obsessed with me getting a job and not being an entrepreneur?
I think it's like, it doesn't have to be your friends and family that contribute. I think that when you only put your fate of being an entrepreneur in the hands of other people, at least it's a very small pool. But I also think if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to have the self-confidence to know that not everyone's going to like your idea. And to put that into perspective, though, if 1 out of every 100 people like your idea, you're going to be a millionaire before you even get out of California. Like if you only contributed $1. So you don't have to appeal to everyone. You just need to appeal to a small group of people in a big way. And you're going to be successful. Like once those people feel like your product adds value, I think it's really important that your product adds value. I think it's really important to just stay true to that and know that you're going to find your community and use the internet to find your community. I think Kickstarter is great because even the first person that backed my Kickstarter, I didn't even know. It was just a complete random stranger. So I think that you can only use your energy to push on the gas or the brake. If you're thinking about what your friends and family are thinking, you're pushing on the brake. So you have to think about all the possibilities of all the other people on the planet to move forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think we are wrapping up Q&A. So I want to ask you in the final moments that we have, tell me a little bit about, what's next, Passion Planner. What's in your planner for the company and for yourself? And the next, you talk about next year, next 5 years, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep. For me, Passion Planner is a paper life coach. It's a paper life coach. People don't have access to life coaches. People don't have access to this extra guidance that I think so many people need beyond college, that I want us to continue to do this work, continue for it to be accessible, so that people can just start like charting their own path that makes sense to them. Because I think as long as you're on a path that isn't yours, at the end of the path, you're going to feel unfulfilled. So I think it's really important that you chart your own path and find your own way. And for Passion Planner, there's other products that we're making that I think are just adding more play into planning. So stickers, markers, sorry. Hi. So stickers and markers and other things like that I think are trying to get people to not take planning so seriously. I think that we have so many expectations for how we should plan that I'm like, oh, I want to break all of that, and I want people to just plan in the way that makes sense to them. Hi, Anthony. I'm still on my call. That's it. He's my assistant. Yes, he's my really cool assistant. But yeah, and I think also just working with other people that are charting their own path and really highlighting different ways of living, because I think that'll create more normalcy for when people want to like break the mold. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how, and I did see a question real quick, which is, what's the name of the planner again? It's Passion Planner. And it's passionplanner.com. And I've been on the website. It's really great. And there's lots of different options and choices in terms of size and color and all of that. So, how does a young leader, or how would a young executive really benefit from this kind of tool? Like, you talked a lot about how to use it in your personal life. So business-wise, how would a young leader use this tool?
I think that they would use it to really chart like what it is that they want, because a lot of times when people get into like a lot of corporate jobs, sometimes they burn themselves out and they stop thinking about what their needs are as a human being, because and I think that when you use something like Passion Planner, you take the time to define what it is that you want, what it is that is going to make you happy. You also start reflecting on the good things that happen, because there's a good things that happen section. So there's like this space for you to write down your gratitudes. Also, just understanding that there's a balance between work and life. Like work isn't the only thing. And I think that when you find this balance and you understand how each of these components play into your life, I think that you can live like a happier life. And also there's like monthly reflections. So it's kind of like having a therapy session without having to have a therapist, even though it doesn't replace therapy. For sure. But I think that being able to reflect on your wins, your lessons, your gratitudes, I think is really important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So Really, really quickly, could you tell me, someone is coming to you and they're saying, I can't follow my passion, I can't follow my dreams. You know, what would you say to them in a sentence or two?
I would say, why not? Like, what is really stopping you? Like, what is it that, what is the narrative that's holding you back that you can't do it? Because a lot of times when I think I can't do something, I really get into this mentality of like, wait, this is totally possible. Someone on this planet has done this before, and they probably have less privilege, less access, less intellect than I have had the blessing to have. That the only thing that's stopping me is actually taking a step to do it. And one thing that I say all the time, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to start. When I first printed Passion Planner, it had 26 typos in it. Like, and it didn't. And I think that, again, perfection. The that I live by is imperfection is our only option.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that.
We just have to do it, and we have to do it imperfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I am super excited to dig into the Passion Planner, and this has been really wonderful. You are wise beyond your years, and there's so much value in what you've said today, and I so appreciate you and your time and your energy and what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for moderating again, Tess.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. See ya. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.